I walked into the motorcycle show expecting energy, roaring engines, hands-on experiences, but instead found rows of untouchable bikes and sales pitches. It felt more like a dealership than an event. Nearby, a kid reached out to touch a sport bike, only for a staff member to stop him. His excitement faded, and I realized a problem. Without interaction, these shows risk becoming lifeless. Motorcycles aren't just machines, they're experiences. If shows don't embrace that, through test drives, live demos, real engagement, they'll fade into irrelevance. In this episode of the Motorcycle Podcast, we discuss the slow death of motorcycle shows. My crew today: Trevor Deck, motorcycle instructor of over 30 years and co-owner-operator of Too Cool Motorcycle School; Jim Pruner, writer-contributor to L2R World; and Emily Roberts, writer-contributor to Motorcycle Mojo magazine. Today's topic: the slow death of motorcycle shows. I guess the question alone insinuates they need to be improved.
Yeah, but to whom? Like to the person going, or the individual showing, or the person outside leading the trucks in and out?
All of them.
All of them. The whole thing.
I mean, let's. When you go to a motorcycle show, and we've all been to them, what do they look like? There's a guy at a table. He may have a motorcycle behind him, may have some trinkets, and that's it. It's brutal.
Yeah, so I feel like motorcycle shows have deteriorated quite a bit in the last decade, 2 decades, if you want to go long term. But I remember growing up going to shows. I went to them ever since I was 8 years old, and there was always so much to do at a bike show. There's so many bikes to see. There is the vintage section. There is a great like custom section. You know, it kind of hit every genre of motorcycling. And now I feel like a lot of those subgenres of motorcycling have been depleted so much, for instance, the custom category, that it's tough to see or to have a good showing of any of that stuff that might attract other types of, not even motorcyclists, but just people these days.
I agree, but I think they're dead. Mainly because there are not enough demos anymore, or there are no demos anymore. And if I can't try it, I'm not all that interested in it. And
Right.
COVID kind of showed that announcing new bikes and stuff can all be done online, and they're good. They're more apt to do that because they save so much money doing that, as in manufacturers. So I don't hold out much hope, quite honestly, of them lasting much longer.
So Trevor was at one over the weekend. Trevor, we're
Yep.
picking on you, man, because apparently what you're doing at these shows aren't good enough.
Well, that's it. You know, you go through, and like I said, I didn't get much chance to walk around, but the wife walking around there and looking at some other booths, and it's like it's an absolute job to be at the show. They're sitting behind the desk. They have this 10 by 10 booth, and they're just like, where's the attraction? I remember back in the day of the World of Wheels, there was Batman there. There was attraction. There was a reaction thing. Even my mom got to try and how fast could you react to a like lights turning out like a drag strip. There was always some fun interactive type of deal. And I don't know. You come to our booth, and our booth is lively. Yeah, we got some chairs to sit down, but it's people that want to be there and just talk about their stories. And it's got to be so difficult for people like trying to sell products. Like people are like, we used to sell courses, and finally I said, you know what? Let's stop that, because people don't want to sit at one booth for an hour and do all this stuff. They just want to grab a little duck, which is the big thing now. With Lanchi, my wife bought this little tiny ducks. They're, oh, look at the ducks, and they're not only for the kids but for the adults. You got to do something more involving with everything. Like we had the introduction to riding sessions, which were really cool, a free hour. There was some stuff on ATV and electric bikes and Yamaha Kids thing, and there was some racing that was going on there. So this show was a lot more interactive. It was expanded. A lot of people said, "Hey, oh, it seems like it's so small, but like instead of these booths, we had bigger areas, more carpeting, and there's some other interactive. So I don't know, maybe we're getting on the swing that it's starting to come back because it's starting to be
No,
fun.
no, you haven't sold me, Trevor. They're done. They're
So
done.
So if I can just say, I don't know which way the shows are going to go, but I am really excited about the shows this year. It seems like there is so much more new effort being put into it. For instance, the Calgary show had a great enduro cross races every day, which are great for crowds and along with all the demos and stuff. But if I can also touch on Jim's point really quick about the manufacturers, the these Canadian shows are manufacturer owned. And so having the manufacturers choose not to go is really disappointing and unfortunate, but I understand why, especially since COVID. I think that the major draw that will bring people in or has brought people in is it's in the past been one of the only places that you can go and sit on every single new bike model, feel what it feels like, understand the positioning, see how much foot, like if you can touch your foot down or if you can't, and go to the next bike that you're interested in and do this.
Emily, hold on. Emily, wait a minute. You've got these guys, these manufacturers are sitting there and they're thinking that the draw needs to be some girl in some scantily clad outfit sitting on a bike, and they feel
Or
that
some
that's what
guy
they
in
need.
some
Or some,
scantily
well,
clad outfit.
they
Could be
feel that this
anything.
is what brings Jim Pruner in. It's not.
Tre-
It's a
Trevor
joke.
Deck.
I'm not talking about bringing the models in and whatnot. I think we're past that era. Thank God. We're
You think
past.
so? You think so?
I hope so. I have a little bit more faith these days in the industry that we won't revert back to that. I know I still see it sometimes at booths, but I'm hoping that that's not the case. But I think for people looking to buy, to be able to test out every single bike, not riding, but just to be able to sit on it, to feel it, to understand what you might want to be investing your money in when spring comes.
What
I think
else you
it's
gonna
Tre-
do at
really
minus
valuable.
22 out? Go sit on a bike somewhere.
uh,
Have
Trevor
some
Deck in
fun.
a thong is about the only thing that will get
Oh,
the crowds
now
out
there we
now.
go.
Hey,
There's
you know
something
what?
But
that will keep
If I want to
everybody in. I'm
if
going to court, I think.
if I want to see somebody
I
on
can
a
hold a
bike,
tong.
I want to
I
see
could do
me.
that.
I want to see me on a bike, but at a dealership. I don't need to go into I'm paying money.
Okay,
It's
well,
my
hold
hard-earned
on.
money. Why am I paying
Phoenix,
my money?
all right. You're okay. I think that you three are in a position. You live in Calgary. You have a lot of dealerships around. You have a plethora of brand of bikes that you can go and sit on within an hour radius even. You can pretty much pick any bike that you want being in the Calgary area. But for the majority of Canadians, that's not the case. So to make one trip into the city, to sit on the new bikes, to understand and feel what they might want, I think is still has a lot of value. And you're not going to change my mind on that.
well, that's true. But you know what? Uh, for us, we are spoiled. It's true. But to pay $22 to
Yeah,
go in and sit on the same bikes that I
yeah.
could just go to Blackfoot and sit on
Yeah.
most of them
That's
there,
true on that
I
one for
find that
sure.
rough. So
If we
this
can
year,
make it a little bit better price and just make it more affordable. That was never Walt Healy's thought.
Hmm.
It wasn't about how can we overcharge for parking and all this kind. How can we just get a bunch of people together to talk bikes? I remember we were always pushed into the corner of the world of wheels, and he always said, "You know what? We got to have our own thing." And at that time, the manufacturers had their own semis, their own stuff, and then they went, "Hey, let's get the dealerships to bring all the stuff." And I was working at Blackfoot at the time. That was a pain in the butt doing all that stuff, taking all the bikes up for what? Yeah, you can get them to your own dealership for sure. But it was nice when the manufacturers kind of did all that, and people
do you
could just
remember,
go down.
Trevi, do you remember a few years ago? I can't remember what year it was, but they didn't have the bike show because of COVID, but they had the get
Did it at
together
the
over at
Horizon
the.
Mall.
I
Yeah,
liked
Horizon
that way
Mall.
better.
That was
Honestly,
perfect because for the mall, it was good because they gave away all the spots. And it was great for the mall because people didn't even know about it, even though it's right across from the big cross iron mills. And that was such a great show. It was a great feeling. And there was little bits at this show, but once you get to the big BMO center and all this stuff, gosh, like I agree,
Here's
Jim,
my
they could have that somewhere else.
Trevor, here's my
And
bone of contention. Here's what really concerns me right now is that who's the audience that these motorcycle shows should be bringing in? Because I'll bet you donuts to doorknobs, the people who walk through those doors, for the most part, you knew who they were. We got to bring in some new blood. Emily's talked about this for years. So have you, Jim. Like,
yeah, but
we got to bring new
that.
people
like,
in.
At the school, people are bringing their friends in to sign up and get into the sport. So for me, as a school, and how we do it as we bring this in the community, we have all our old photos up from 2003, all the photos there so people can find. I always say, where can you go in the middle of winter but a bike show to find yourself? Come on down. And they always bring somebody, and then trying to get the interest.
So I do think that this past year, and I didn't get to go to the Calgary show. I've only done Vancouver so far. I'll be doing Toronto next weekend. But there's been a lot more offerings for new riders or people who are interested in getting on a bike. So I think that they're really doing a push to attract a new audience. I do think that the ticket price is a huge deterrent for a lot of people.
It's so tough.
Along with parking too, if you're paying $15 for parking and then the $22 ticket, that adds up quite quickly. Not to mention if you get some show food, which
you got to eat
$20 minimum.
Exactly.
So it becomes expensive.
Yeah, but you do that skiing. You go to Whistler, you're paying $400.
Right, but that's an adrenaline-based sport.
But
I can walk into awesome time.
I can walk into a dealership and it doesn't cost me a penny. Come on.
Yeah, but if you come and sign up with us, you save $46. So that saves your entrance and your parking. Look, you save some money off the course. That's how I kind of view when people come down. Here's a little thank you for coming down to the show, and it's just something I always thought. You want to.
I don't
give
buy
a little back.
I think these things are so done. And if we're so creative in how we make motorcycles, we got to be creative with these shows, because right now they're done. They're done.
It's getting better,
Phoenix, what's your solution? What do you want to see in the future?
Great question. More interactive. So I love what Trevor is doing. He's got people on bikes. He's trying to show them, get him introduced to that. I want to see something that involves me. Let me go pick up a bike. Let me go fix the chain off of a bike. Let me be involved in something, as opposed to walking down these narrow corridors and it's booth after booth after booth of somebody who's trying to sell me something. Yeah.
And now
that's what I want.
I just think they're resetting. I think the whole COVID thing, and
they got to do it now, though, Trevor.
They're starting to slowly, and they are making a difference this year than last year. I could see it already.
And I want a hat and a t-shirt for my $22 entry plus $20 for parking. Plus
I saw some shirts. I saw a beautiful bike being raffled off. There were some options out there to actually benefit from it.
If this is the way, Trevor, if this is the way that we're representing the world of motorcycling, we got a lot of work to do.
I just want to see people come down, and
we do too.
And get into this sport,
Yes,
and sometimes you just got to bring them down.
But it's not where you're just buying a broom. I mean, it's like, come on, make this different.
Do it over the internet here. I'll put a camera on. Everybody can live through my point of view experience of a bike show. Is that the way we got to do it now? Live the Peter Griffith way, where he has a TV attached to him and walk around everywhere and forget life doesn't matter.
So you think they're still good? They're still viable today?
I'm thinking they're working on it. Yeah, they're expensive, but gosh darn it. I promised Walty I'd attend every bike show that from that point on. Like, it was just something that was so dear to him, and I get it. But it's sure nice to sit on a brand new R9 and sit on the CBR 1000 that you'd never get to do sometimes. So it's really kind of cool to get on a bike and just for a moment you own it. You can just imagine where you're going to be riding to, and that's what it gives you. Yeah, it gives you in the dealerships for sure, but it's nice you could do a whole bunch at one time and just talk with people in the industry. It's like a big family reunion.
Motorcycles aren't just machines; they're experiences. If shows don't embrace that through test drives, live demos, real engagement, they'll fade into irrelevance. My thanks to Emily Roberts, Jim Pruner, and Trevor Deck. My name is Phoenix. On the next episode,
you can finance a helmet? Yep. You can finance gear?
Kat's laughing because she's been down that road.
Well, I financed a hoodie.
You're listening to The Motorcycle Podcast, a presentation of L2R World. Discover more at www.l2rworld.com.